supposedly because the horse is burning that excess water and maintaining a balance. So whenever there is a flood, pralaya baradu is a normal idalla. This is the one that takes, this creature is the one that takes care of the flood and consumes the water. So symbolically they are saying when we had non-believers coming in as an ocean, so this one stood in front there and confronted them. Who is this one? So the first few lines are all about Ramanujacharya. So idar bandu idar hesaru bandu ರಾಮಾನುಜಾಚಾರ್ಯರಿಗೆ ಪ್ರತಿದಿನವೂ ಶ್ರೀ ವೈಷ್ಣವರು ಕೆಲವು ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥನೆಗಳು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಧಾಟಿ ಪಂಚಕಂ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ, ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಅ 5 stanza prayer that they do. All of the 5 stanzas are actually celebration of the victories of Ramanujacharya. So the first of the victories they are saying is how he defeated the non-believers. So he defeated them supposedly like the Mahabharata, which was a creature that consumed the excess water. ಮತ್ತೆ ಶ್ರೀರಂಗರಾಜ ಚರಣಾಂಬುಜ ಮೂಲದಾಸ, ಶ್ರೀರಂಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋ ಪರಮ ಭಕ್ತರಲ್ಲಿ ಮೂಲದಾಸ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ತಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋವಂಥ, ತಲೆ ಹತ್ರ ಪಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲೇ ಇರುವಂಥ ಭಕ್ತ ಇರುವಂಥ. I mean, sorry, I switched if you want to Kannada. So essentially saying Srirangam is the holiest places for Sri Vaishnavas. So there, the head of the Vishnu, Sri Ramanujacharya stood there, and he was the foremost of the disciples at that time. And then says Sri Vishnu Loka Mani Mantapa Margadayi. Vishnu Banda Samudralirtane, allon Mani Mantapa. So the Vishnu is there, and he is in the ocean, and in the center is the Mani Mantapa where you have to go. Ramanujacharya is the Guru who takes you there. So remember the context in which this is a prayer by Sri Vaishnavas to the about their own Guru. And then it says Ramanujo Vijayate Yatiraja Rajaha. Yati is the king of the Yatis. Yatis are the Gurus. So it's in the few lines you understood that he has defeated the non-believers. He is the foremost of the disciples of Vishnu. That he is the Guru who guides you to the Mani Mantapa, which is Vishnu. And he is the king of the Gurus. So these are praise, lines in praise for the Ramanujacharya. So with this, the entire inscription starts. And this is the normal way. Anything in the Hindu, this one starts. We start with a prayer. The prayer could be to a god, it could be to a guru, it could be anybody. And that's what these lines signify, and they start. And after that, we switch to Kannada. It says, Shaka Varusha 1290 Meya Kilaka Samvatsarada Shravana Shu Yaradu Soma. It says, as per the Hindu calendar, 1290, which corresponds to 1368 in the current system that we follow. 1290 in the Hindu calendar, Shaka Varusha converts to 1368. And then it says, Kilaka Samvatsara. So we use numerical years for calendars as well as the year has also got a name. Every year has a name. So typically in the start of the year you will all be receiving greetings saying this Samvatsara the Shubhashayaglu and all that. So they are saying Kilaka Samvatsara at that time. And it says Shravana Masa. Shuddha is the fortnight. Krishna Paksha, Bauda Paksha, the first this one. Second day of that Paksha, Somavaradallu. So it's a shorthand for Somavara. Sriman Mahamandaleshwara Ariraya Vibada Bhashage Tappuva Rayara Ganda. So it says, typically these are kings of the times of the kings. So you always have to glorify, and it comes with a whole lot of this one. The same way we would say, Your Honor to a judge or something like that. So he says, Sriman Mahamandaleshwara Ariraya Vibada Bhashage Tappuva Rayara Ganda. So the king is Ariraya, Bhashage Tappuva Rayara Ganda. He is the husband for those guys who break the promises. So you can understand what is being said there. Sri Veera Bukkaraya is the name of the king. So Bukkaraya is the founder of the Vijayanagar Empire. The two founders there. Prithvi Rajyam Aduvas Kaladalli. He was ruling the earth. Jainarige Bhaktarige. Jaina is the Jaina people. Bhaktaru is the word for Sri Vaishnavas. Samvajavadaga. Samvaja is a discussion. Samvada. Aneya Gundi. Pasapattana. Pennugonde. Kalya. Valagara. Samasta Nada Jainaru. the people from these 4 places, Tenugundi,
That's in Andhra.
it's in Andhra today. Okay, Anegundi, which is Hampi, adjacent to Hampi today. Vasapattana, which is also this one here. And then Kalya. Kalya is the name of this place. Today what we call as Kalya.
Apparently it was a very vibrant town those days.
Yeah.
Then got demolished. I think Kalya anta adrindaನೆ ಬಂದಿತ್ತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ.
ಕಲ್ಯಾ ಕಲಾವತಿ ಪಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು ಕಲಹ ಆಗಿ
ಕಲಹ ಆಗಿ
ಕಲ್ಯಾ ಅಂತ.
Okay. Kalya ಒಳಗಾದ ಸಮಸ್ತ ನಾಡ ಜೈನರು, all the Jains from these places, ಬುಕ್ಕರಾಯನಿಗೆ ಭಕ್ತರು ಅನ್ಯಾಯದಲ್ಲೂ ಕೊಲ್ಲುವುದನ್ನು ಭಿನ್ನಹಂ ಮಾಡು. Apparently the Bhaktas or the Vaishnavas were killing the Jains inappropriately. Okay, the word they've used anyayadallu, injustice or injustice, the way it was being done.
unjustly killed.
Yeah, unjustly were killing them. Okay. So then, that's the end of the line. Then it says, Kovil, Tirumale, Perumal Kovil, Tirunarayanapura. These are the 4, the four most important places for Sri Vaishnavas. Tirumala is Tirupati, as we know it today. Perumal Kovil is any places? Yeah? Kanchipura. Okay. Tirunarayanapura. Melbourne. Okay. ಮುಖ್ಯವಾದ ಸಕಲಾಚಾರ್ಯರು, the heads from all these 4 places here, and said sakala samuhayi, sakala satvika, all the people, they're all categorized there. Sakala satvikaru, moshikaru, tirupani, tiruvadi, tanniru, 48 tale makkalu. These Sri Vaishnavas again have categories of people. So he had the heads of those 4 institutions in Tirupati, Kanchipuram, Srirangam and Melkote for the arbitration. And all the people at the Sri Vaishnavite level, these are all the people that are there. Just for this one, the Satvikaru are the people who live by good virtues. Moshikaru are the people who live by alms, so on and so forth. Sri Vaishnavaru Kaiyallu Mahal. Okay, then what he says is, ಒಳಗಾದ 18 ನಾಡ, 14 countries of the land. The divisions that we have, administrative divisions, they used to have countries at that time, and he got people from all over there. In their hands, ಕೈಯಲ್ಲೂ ಮಹಾರಾಯನು ಜೈನರು ನಿಮ್ಮ ವೈಷ್ಣವ ದರುಸ್ನಕ್ಕೆ ಮೊರೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೆವು, which means he put the hands of the Jains in the hands of the Sri Vaishnavas and said, these people are yielding to you. That's the exact literal translation here we have. ಎಂದು ಕೊಟ್ಟು ವೆಂದು ಕೊಟ್ಟ ಸಂಬಂಧ ಪಂಚ ಬಸತಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಕಲಸ ಜಗಟೆ ಮೊದಲಾದ ಸಂಚ ಮಹಾವಾದ್ಯಗಳು ಸಲ್ಲುವುದು. Means in the basatis there are 5 instruments which are considered to be very holy that are used in a Jain basati. That's the jagate and all of that. He says you have the right to use this in the basati. The analogous part of it is saying
This is what is happening in the discussion.
this is essentially the judgment. So the Jains have gone to the king, Bukkaraya, and complained to him that the Vaishnavas are killing them, and this is his exact judgment. So what you're seeing there is actually a court verdict. So all of you people would have to comply with that if you were in the times, living at those times. So he's essentially telling all these people, the preamble to the judgment is the first sloka, which was from this one. And the second part is what is the complaint. The third part is who had gathered there. So who's the lawyers, etc., who are the people who are gathered. The last one is the judgment part. So which is what he's telling here. He's saying he put the hands of the Jains in the hands of the Vaishnavas and told the Jains are now yielding to you. Okay, and henceforth the Jains are allowed to use the Panchavadyas in the basatis there. And then Jaina Samayakke Saluvadendu Hani. So the Vaishnavas are to ensure the protection of the Jains henceforth. So it's I'm sure you as bureaucrats you'll all understand the not so apparent implications here. Essentially the person who's being complained to is being declared as the innocent person, and the fellow complained is being the trust of that person, the security of the person who's complaining is being entrusted to the one who's accused of the crime or whatever you want to call it. What you're seeing on the right side is all illegible. It's worn out completely. So we cannot read all the dots here that you're seeing are essentially what has been worn out.
But any idea? Is it a continuation of the judgment? Or
Yeah, it is the continuation of the judgment. So what he's saying is here is that Sri Vaishnava Samaya Palisoke .e ಮರ್ಯಾದೆಯಲ್ಲೂ ಎಲ್ಲ ರಾಜ್ಯದೊಳಗುಳ್ಳಂಥ ಬಸತಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಶ್ರೀ ವೈಷ್ಣವರು ಶಾಸನ ನೆಟ್ಟು ಕೊಡೆವು. The copy of this judgment or the copy of this inscription is supposed to be kept in every basti by the Sri Vaishnavas. It's like, when your appointment was made, there was a long list of CCs that were going there. So essentially saying the copies of this should be in every basti in my kingdom. And the job of making
it
sure
should be
there is...
available in more places.
Yeah. So I'll finish this and I'll come to that.
The bastis are only not there. No?
And then it says, Sasanava nettu kottevu, then ... Chandra, so the sun and the moon is saying, as so long as the sun and moon are there, this is to be complied with. And that is the final part. Usually the last part also includes a compliance kind of encouragement. In case you violate this, then you are committing a certain sin. The sin could be like killing of a cow in the Ganges or whatever. Remember, they didn't have SPs like this, like all over at that time. So compliance had to be done in different ways. And a lot of times, religion was the way you would kind of ensure compliance happened. So what did people all fear? The fear of committing a sinful act. Sinful acts were killing your parents, eating a cow. What is the worst you can do in that case? They said doing these things at the bank of the Ganges. Suppose you go to the Ganges, you take birth, and then you kind of cleanse yourself of all the sins, right? So in this case, there is a higher punishment for eating a cow or killing a cow on the bank of the Ganges. So that is the equivalent of, this is not written here, and I'm just conjecturing here, the ... would probably be that. Just because it appears in most inscriptions of that time. Now, so you heard all of this. What's your first initial reaction to this?
I'd always heard that Jains, basically everybody was a Jain at some point of time.
Yeah, that's true.
I
mean, majority of the people.
Yeah, I think that's what it just confirmed to me that it was.
Yeah. So the two things, conflicts have been are not just today. Conflicts have been there all the time. And in fact, this one is considered as one of the most important or the most debated, discussed inscriptions in Karnataka itself, or maybe in the country itself.
Oh.
For the reason that most other inscriptions are donations, records of donations of lands and things like that. Very rarely do we get an insight into the society at that time. Okay, into the politics of the time, into the society of the time, into the justice system of the time. Just a coincidence you are also here at this time, all of you are here. But it's essentially a reflectance of the administrative machinery at that time. And you're seeing so many things there, saying, look, the copy of this is judgment supposed to be in every basti. And this is my judgment. And these are the people who gathered. This was the people who argued the case. All of that is there here. What's the cost for non-compliance?
Yeah,
That's also given. Unfortunately, we lost it here, and it's or not. But we know from other instances what it could have been here. Now, there are 2-3 things. Inscriptions are generally not direct orders by a king. It's not like the President of India every day is issuing orders to every citizen and saying, do this, do that, and all that, right? So the king does not do that. In this case, the king has done that. 1. And 2, this is a nationwide conflict that we are seeing here. It is not one Kalya village. Essentially, the reason it's sitting in Kalya today is information we gather from a copy of this inscription, which is in Shravanbaigola now. The copy of that inscription is about 5 months later than this. The dates are different. By the way, this was written on 16th August. When you convert that into this one, to 16th August 1368. You know the exact date it was written. That was written 5 weeks after that.
This is the oldest.
This is the earliest one. There's only 2 today. There are no copies of this left in any basti or any Vaishnava temple.
It's surprising. I would have assumed
But
that
there are 2 things. It's quite possibly never got done. I mean, this is an order. Yeah, this is an order. It never got implemented. 1. 2 is, it probably is there. Those are copper plate inscriptions. They're not on stone. And copper plates stay inside homes. And inside homes, they're locked up in puja rooms and rarely they're taken out for anybody to read. Someday somebody may disclose and say, look, I have something, would you mind helping me understand this? And then we get a copy of that. That's possible. So as of this day, there are only 2 copies left. The minor variations, the Shravanbaigola inscription actually names the person who went to court. That person happened to be from here called Bushui Setti from Kalya. The reason the stone is here is because the person who complained is from here, number one. And number two, you're already saying that this was a big Jain center. Interestingly, it's not just a Jain center. It's a Jain center, it's a Sri Vaishnavite center, it's a Shaivite center. So up on the hillock there, you have two temples. In fact, it's a big Shaivite, Sri Vaishnava, Veer Shaiva center. Because Basava, who founded the Lingayat religion, his story or his biography has been was first authored by a person in Telugu called Palkurti Somanatha, who lived near Warangal. He came here and he died here, and his gaddige or his samadhi is here. Okay. Now, essentially, there was a lot of conflict between Lingayatism. Also was a religion that came out of conflict. The reason they are also
do some beautification works and all that. Visit once when you get there.
Yeah.
ಹೂವಿನ ಬೆಟ್ಟ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಇರೋದಲ್ಲ?
ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತಿತ್ತು ಸರ್.
ಅದೇ ಪ್ಲಾನ್. ಪ್ಲಾನ್ some flower ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿ.
ಇದೆ ಸರ್, ಇನ್ನು ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು.
ಇಲ್ಲ ಮೇಲೆ behind the coconut tree on top. Okay. Now that's the thing. The other thing is, all over the district, all over the state, all over the country, we have inscriptions like this. These are our only source for actually history. The other source we have are archaeological sources like pottery and this and that.
Who is supposed to maintain all this? Who is? Yes, sir. And
It varies. In Karnataka, it varies on the place and the state. In Karnataka, we have this Karnataka state.
Inside a village, if it is like this.
Sorry?
Inside a village, if it is like this, who's responsible?
The upkeep of it is essentially the government. Not go
No,
beyond that.
when you say government, who in government?
Karnataka State Archaeology Department.
It's a little bit grey, sir, because I have contacted state archaeology. They've come and visited or a couple of these also. So budget is a big issue, financial resources, manpower challenges. But
No, because I can show you
those
at
guys
least
are
3-4 more like this, but I'm even bigger than this one. But nobody has come. I have been
Yes.
seeing
So here's the problem, sir. So what I do as a job, and we have Shashi and a few of my team members here, for the entire district, the whole district of Bangalore, which is now 3, Bangalore urban, rural and Ramanagara districts, there's about 1,500 of these.
Okay.
So we go around place to place and we make digital copies of these. This is with the approval of archaeology department. We give them the data and all of that. They don't have the either the technology or the capacity to do it. So Mythic Society does this project. So we take these digital copies. The reason for doing this is two. One is these about 30-40% of these, 40% in urban areas, 30% in rural areas are being destroyed. We are very lucky that we have Shivlinga here and his family who have taken care of this. Typically what happens is this ends up as a stone in the building or in the gutter or somewhere like that. There is a little bit of...
you would know about the Malur Patna temple also.
Yeah. Easily.
We got the encroachment removed and there was a tree growing from inside the Malur Patna. There's a big objection to remove that also.
It's a slow process of working with the people because there's religious beliefs attached to this. There's a lot of superstition attached to this, that you cannot touch it, you should not move it, you should not do it. So the other way of answering your question is, as per the Constitution of India, heritage protection is a citizen's duty, 1. And number 2, this is supposed to be, the first right over this happens to be the local people. So you just cannot put this in a museum or in a taluk office or a panchayat office. If they raise objections and say, look, this is mine and I want to have it here, you just can't do anything legally.
No, it should not be done also.
It should not be done because I totally agree with you. It's the price. They're the custodians for this and they thrive. And
They have kept it long before anybody came. So
Absolutely correct. And so these of the 1,500 inscriptions, we have a 3-year project where we digitally.
I'll tell you a few more.
Yes.
In case you guys have not been there,
Okay.
please do go there.
So we go village by village, place by place. We finish the city. Actually, there's 175 inside Bangalore city.
Oh,
Yeah. So of the 175, 110 survive. The rest have been destroyed. So we have very high resolution digital copies of this today.
what do you do? Like you take photogrammetry copies of each?
Better than photogrammetry. Scanner is a
sir.
LIDAR, you do LIDAR scanning?
No, we do better. So those are technologies unsuited for this. What we do is, I'll show it to you in a second. That device records everything on the hair thick.